Good morning and welcome back to the One Celtic Fans View on the 24th of January. 24 days into the transfer window, Celtic have brought in two players on loan. Transfer window has not been good enough. Just one of those things. It's two players on loan. It is what it is. But let's get into some sort of good mood because we've got a point away in Europe. It's not that bad. Michael Nicholson gets pissed in Europe and gets the piss taken out on by a Celtic fan in the street. Martin O'Neill, for the last couple of weeks, has been asked about the transfer window, and he's been very adamant that Celtic needed to get some players in. Need to get some players in. We've been linked with numerous players. If we were to talk about every linked player, we'd probably have to do 4 videos a day just to talk about each individual one. Speculation is rife. And the fact is, Michael Nicholson has let the club down once again. Now, don't get me wrong, there's still a week to go in the transfer window. Michael Nicholson might pull some rabbits out of a hat last minute. But everything's been geared up. Everything has been geared up to this game. As far as the fans are going. As far as the fans are concerned, it was the top of the table clash that really mattered this month. We know that players couldn't come in and play in Europe. But if we'd got players in sooner, could have given the squad that little bit of an edge. Not that they needed it, mind you, when it comes to Europe, because even Austin Trusty was absolutely phenomenal in Bologna the other evening. Austin Trusty's taken to Twitter, and he has said one of my personal favourite nights in a Celtic jersey, despite only coming away with the 1 point. I think we can all agree with that. It was, celebrating a draw away in Italy, considering the season that we've had so far, considering the shit show that we had under Wilfred Nancy. Martin O'Neill, Austin Trusty says, proud of the team for preserving through a tough away night. The travelling fans were amazing, as always. The players know that the fans are amazing, but the club seems to just treat the fans with disrespect, and it's just it's hard. There's no words for it. I think we're all just pissed off, to say the least. Here's the question. Our board is waiting for the Europa League to finish so we can get players in that's been eliminated. Is the board waiting for the Europa League to finish? If that's the case, are we going after the wrong players? Are they waiting on players? I can understand that mentality, but if you want to win the league, I'm not buying this nonsense that January's a hard window. Hearts have brought in players. They're not in Europe. The team for the other side of the city have brought in players. Aberdeen brought in players. Clubs get players if they really, really, really push the boat out. And Celtic, under Michael, and it all comes back to one person. And I know that I feel it maybe sounds like we're on repeat here, but Michael Nicholson is the one that deals with the transfer negotiations. No one else. Michael Nicholson is the one that leads the negotiations. He seals the deals. He signs the paper or the fax or whatever. And as it stands, Michael Nicholson, you have let the club down massively once again. Yes, I get it that some players do not want to come to Scottish football. Yes, I get it that some teams may not want to sell players. But surely 24 days into a window. And yes, I understand the fact that, look, under Wilfred Nancy, we were looking at a completely different level of player to play the Wilfred Nancy way, whatever that was and whatever that may be. It wasn't suited to Celtic. Celtic players are now coming out and telling us that Wilfred Nancy tried to change too much too soon. The captain has now spoken. It seems to have all went quiet with regard to Callum disappearing this window and heading off to Saudi Arabia. I didn't think it would happen. I still don't think it will happen. Callum will see out the season. Callum's not the type of person to ultimately walk out on Celtic. Not when you've had the career that he's had, and the fact that he's came through the system at Celtic and everything like that. You don't walk out on Celtic in their biggest moment of need, because if you do, and if you did, Callum knows the Celtic fans are unforgiving. I could go in and read loads of transfer news, but you know, I'm at the point now on the 24th. You know, we're just there's names getting thrown out there, and until that we know that someone's booked in a medical, there's no point, to be honest. And I know as disheartening as that may sound, you know, you could go on, and the fact that we've got a game of this magnitude, a top of the table clash this weekend against Hearts, we knew we needed players in to help. Martin O'Neill has said it. We need players in. We need a number of players, not just one or two. Do you know, we've brought in a player that came in under Wilfred Nancy. He's going to be here at the end of the season, and then he'll disappear back away to America or wherever he was, the little Mexican is from. We've got a number of players that are coming back from injury. They'll be back in about a month's time. By then, it's too late. So no, it is completely too late. And I'm for one. I mean, Martin O'Neill coming out yesterday in the press conference and saying, "Oh, I wish that they had just kept me on." Hindsight's a fantastic thing, but you can understand, and this is where we are just going to end up going round in circles. But you can understand from a business point of view why Celtic brought in Wilfred Nancy and any full-time manager at that time. You know, I know there was a shout to keep Martin O'Neill to the end of the season, but all we're doing and all we've done, and you know, it's been proved that that scenario is not the best scenario. Yes, we can get to the later stages of Europe. We can end up winning absolutely hee-haw this season for the first time in a long time. Now, some may say, well, that's the Martin O'Neill effect. There was one season that Martin O'Neill won hee-haw at Celtic, but got us a fantastic run in Europe. It's be careful what you wish for at Celtic sometime, because when we made the wrong choice as manager under Wilfred Nancy, it didn't just have an effect on this season. It's had an effect on the summer. It's had an effect on summer spending plans. It's had an effect on who and when we get in the next full-time manager. Now, people say, just keep Martin O'Neill, give Martin O'Neill it. Martin O'Neill's 73-year-old. He doesn't need the pressure. He's already said, no matter what happens this season, he will not be here next season. He will definitely not be at the next AGM. All we're doing is piling up problems. piling up issues. You know, we're used to piling on the agony to other teams, and we may do that a few times between now and the end of the season. But what we're really doing is piling on the agony to an aging squad, not in age-wise, but as in the number of players that could potentially leave in the summer. Daizen Maeda will definitely be away in the summer. Rio Hatate, definitely away. We need to bring in a strong midfielder. We need to bring in 2 strong defenders. The next manager is going to have to spend big, and we will not have the transfer money. That's why I've got this on. No transfer latest until there's a player booked in for a medical. That's why I've got the old NTL top on. No transfer latest. There's no point. Do you know? I mean, I'm seen as linked with defenders. I'm seen as linked with. We're still linked with the Eintracht Frankfurt defender. Celtic trying to get him on loan. Maybe that deal will go through when teams aren't in certain competitions. I don't know. And I just find it disheartening this morning that we sit here on the eve of the biggest game of the season. Every game's a big game. But we know, and Hearts will know, that if they can win tomorrow, it's sayonara. It's if they win tomorrow, just sell Daizen Maeda, just sell Rio Hatate now. Get the players out this window and just think to next season. If people talk about Deadwood, that's 2 players that are Deadwood for me. But as we'll exit this window and profit, the new manager will have money to spend in the summer. Brown Warrior, that's too late. We will not qualify for Europe. If we finish second, we'll not qualify for the Champions League because we've left it too late again. This window had to be the window that we improved the squad so that we gave ourselves a chance. So we give ourselves a chance. Saying that it's okay, we'll spend in the summer. Too late. We can go through every manager that has failed to qualify for the Champions League through playoff positions, and they've all come in the summer. But wishful thinking right now. But if a miracle happens and we sign a right winger, a centre back, and a centre mid, I'd be happy with that. It'll be loan players. I still believe that we will get another 3 players in, but it's too late as far as I'm concerned. If it goes to 9 points this weekend, it is highly unlikely. The Manchester morning Baz, who would you like in as manager? How would you like in as manager? Do you know what? I'm actually at the point that I'm not even thinking about who we would get in as manager or who I'd like in as manager, because they've got to work under. We need to get. We spoke about this before Wilfred Nancy come in, and we spoke about getting rid of the boards, because the issue's not the manager. You could bring in Donald Duck. We brought in Ronnie Dyla and he still won the league. The issue is the boards. The issue is the people that run the club, and the lackadaisical approach that they take to transfer negotiations. The lackadaisical approach that they take to communicating with fans. You know, I want Robbie Keane, 100%. What's Robbie Keane going to do any different to any other manager? When you've got the same... Every manager's had to deal with the same shit. Excuse my language. But they've had to deal with the same stuff. And it's the board. The inability to conclude negotiations in a timely manner. And that's what it comes down to again. And we've allowed them this window. We backed off as fans. We stopped the protests. And everyone got, yeah, I'm not being negative, mate. I'm being realistic. It's times that fans wake up and smell the bloody coffee. It's not being negative. It's realistic. And until you take your green tinted specs off and have a bit of realism, that Celtic will be no better this summer than they are in this window. And I don't want to be the one that's sitting here going, I fucking told you so. I don't want to be there. I don't want to be that person sitting going, I told you so. I'd love to come out and be positive as anything. How can you be positive when Michael Nicholson is still in charge at Celtic and we are 24 days into the window and we've brought in 2 loan players? We have not spent a penny. Michael Nicholson has taken the don't spend a penny campaign to heart, and he's saying, not take a penny. Robbie Keane is not Desmond's pal. I don't know, and I don't care. Chin up. Positive thoughts for tomorrow. Yeah, I'm going to be as positive as I can, and I think that Martin O'Neill, I think at best, a draw. I'm going to be honest. I think at best a draw at Tynecastle. The hype that they've got players out, Shankland never does anything against Celtic. The one player, Devlin, he's a little pain in the ass when it comes to Celtic, diving about all over the place. But they've got a good squad. They've got the points in the bag. We're doing the chasing. And when you do the chasing, you've got to take risks. And as Wilfred Nancy said, the higher the risk that you take, the better the rewards. Bullshit. You lost fucking how many games? You can only piss with the you've got and play with the players you have. Yeah, it's true. And we can point out the obvious, but it's not being negative. It's just being realistic, as far as I'm concerned. Martin O'Neill is not a long-term fix, but it should take time to fix. But it should take time to buy time. We're not even fixing the damage. It's not the manager's job to organise. It's not you've got to remember that. I think that when Brendan Rodgers left, we know that he took a lot of staff with him. A lot of staff left Celtic. We get that. And that's the board's fault. Everything that's happened this season, everything, from the summer onwards, comes back to one person. And when there's been such gross negligence in your job, your position becomes untenable. It becomes untenable. There's no way. If Michael Nicholson sees out this season at Celtic, and don't give me this, he's waiting for the summer to leave. He's done the damage. The damage is done. It's there are people at the club that need to just take control of the club now. And if that means Dermot Desmond and his son Ross firing the fucking lot of them. He was quick enough to fire Wilfred Nancy. He was quick enough to fire Paul Tisdale. Why is it taking so long to get rid of Michael Nicholson? No, because it's not. That deal's not going to happen, mate. It's not going to happen. Motherwell have said it's not going to happen. Motherwell are in a position where you're not selling your best players. Any team in Scotland that's got a chance of finishing third will not sell their best players. They don't have to. Now, the player is on a short contract. The player has a choice. He can try and push for it to happen. But if his heart's not in a move to Celtic, maybe he's thinking, I maybe just hang off to the summer. Might get a bigger club coming in down south. That's the way that these players think. He's not Celtic anything. He's not a Celtic fan. He's a player that wants to come in and do well at Motherwell and then get a big big move away. He's maybe come in and thought, do you know what, I can get more money down south, fit into the team. There's a lot of people that will be looking at Celtic just now as players and going, fuck me, it's a shit show. And there's not many players that would jump ship at this point of the window, and this is the issue that Celtic have. You're coming in to play for Martin O'Neill. But then what if the next manager that comes in the summer doesn't fancy you? And you were playing first team football at Motherwell. You know, be superstar at your own wee club. And you come to Celtic. And we've got history. We've got history ruining players' careers. You know, bringing them over here with the big promise of playing football and you know, their number one, their first pick choice for their team. And we bring them to Celtic, ruin them, and then put them on the sidelines. They don't play football, and then the next season we put them out on loan. Players start to notice that. You know, players aren't stupid. I know the goalkeeper's under the full shilling, but players in general. I mean, I'm a Celtic fan, and I wouldn't go to Celtic just now. Not a chance. Not a chance. The board will appoint a manager who will bow to them. Yeah, this is pretty true. Has Wilfred found a new club? I'm stalking that bass. I don't know. Devlin and Shankland have been key this season. No hype. It's like us losing McGregor and Maeda. I'm not buying that, mate. Not buying that at all. I think that their team bullied us. Even when Shankland did not a lot in the game, when Devlin doesn't do a lot in the game, their team were far, far superior. Physicality, bullying us all over every single part of the pitch. They bullied us in the previous two games. Just because they lose two players, they're not going to lose that mindset for the rest of the team. The rest of the team will be right up for it. Right up for it. Because they know they do Celtic at home and they can actually start believing. They can start thinking, do you know what? There's a chance we might do this. There's a good chance we might do it. One game at a time, lads. But I tell you one thing, we've just given ourselves a fantastic platform to push on to the end of the season. It's now ours to lose. The Hearts players will be saying. They don't need to win 3-4-0. They just need a 1-0 win. Scrappy 1-0 win. They need to do that for the next 15 games. Not even 15 games. 13 games. 13 games at 1-0 for Hearts, and they're thinking, happy days, we're champions. Don't know. I would rather Braga was injured. Don't know. It's terrible that we're talking about. We would rather their players were injured. It's taken away from the blame of the board. It's taken away. It's covering up the inability for Celtic to get its business done. You know, and that's what it's deflect. I think that Michael Nicholson and the board have won. Let it be said, Michael Nicholson and the board have won. The campaign that we had the first quarter of the season until Martin O'Neill came in has petered out. Fans are now saying, is this just a campaign to get the Green Brigade down? And it's, do you know, I don't know where it's going to go and how it's going to end, but it's not going to be good. And I warned about this at the start of the season. That if you leave it too long, we'll end up with nothing. And we've left it far too long. When we had Wilfred, the players had lost the games. They didn't want to play for him. That's then, if you're a professional player, that then should call in the mentality of the player that we have at the club. Now, do you then trust the same players to try and not only pull it back, and yes, they've won things in the past, but is that the right kind of? Could you imagine players that played under Liam Brady and players that played under Lou Macari at Celtic that had been at Celtic for a while beforehand? You know, there was a couple of players that were at Celtic before the Lou Macari and Liam Brady era, and there were players that went right through that until Tommy Burns came in. I don't think anyone ever didn't want to play for Lou Macari. I don't think there was any players that didn't want to play for Liam Brady. Sometimes the manager's just shit and his tactics are shit. And if the modern day player, and if we've got a bunch of people in our team that spat the dummy out and didn't try 100% and didn't, and purposely lost games, they shouldn't be at Celtic. Not long term. Not a chance. The club's in a worse position than what I thought it was, if that's the case. Hearts getting spoken about like they're Real Madrid. It's unbelievable. Celtic getting spoken about like we're a club that's about to go into third position. Unbelievable. It's not unbelievable. It's reality. I mean, you can go and look at the league table. It doesn't lie. Don't know. You can make fun and games about Hearts being top of the table. They've been there the majority of this season. Don't know. I'm not going to disrespect them because it's Hearts. I don't like them as a club, but you've got to give them the respect that they're due when they're sitting on 50 points. They're sitting on a goal difference of 25. They've scored 42 goals this season. Don't know. They've only lost 2 games this season. That's championship winning form when you only lose 2 games at this point of the season. You look back over the years where Celtic have won the league. You know, it's very, very difficult to win a league when you've lost 6 games. Rangers have only lost 2 games this season. They've drawn 8 games. They will be thinking, they're in a better chance. They've conceded a lot of goals. They're not scoring, but they've brought in players. They've had a good transfer window. The race is on as far as they're concerned. You know, the race is on. Can they chip away? The race is on for second right now. Unless we win tomorrow, and then, you know, there is a chance that both Celtic and Rangers can beat Hearts twice between now and the end of the season, and then that's a game changer. But this title, there is no predicting the title at this moment. There's one prediction that you will make. Celtic lose tomorrow, it's game over. It's absolutely game over. You do not win the league when you have lost 7 games a season. We could go on after the game tomorrow. If we lose it, we could go on and have a fantastic run, win every game. It wouldn't matter. It would not matter. That 9 points, the damage was done in December. Remember the Wilfred Nancy implosion of Celtic in December. If we lose tomorrow, third place is very possible. Third place is more than possible. I think Casper should never pull in the hoops goalkeeper again. I think he's letting in a goal and someone's betting against it. He had a fantastic game in Europe. You've got to give Casper that. He was brilliant in Europe the other night. He needs to keep that up until the end of the season. Don't know, but the final 5 games of the seasons are going to be huge. Another helicopter Sunday incoming. Hopefully, we have Hearts and hopefully we have Hearts and Rangers are at home after the cut. Who was at home? Were we at home the last season? Last season, can't remember. Do you know about? But anyway, we won't lose. Hearts will lose more points than us. Oh, here's hoping. Here's hoping. Here's hoping. Brown Warrior, I am not going to. You cannot be happy that we're above them because we've scored one more goal, mate. We've got a. We've got a. Our fans need to have a wake up call. Honestly, do you know Slayton Rangers at this point when we're only above them because we've scored one more goal to the better on goal difference. That's no bragging rights, mate. Brown Warrior, that's not bragging rights. So no. Saying that they're still below us and laughing faces, that's no bragging rights being one goal to the good. Especially when we're not scoring goals. And we don't look like we couldn't score. We'd need to go on a run of scoring 4 or 5 goals a game over the next. We had a chance to get above Hearts on goal difference, and we've totally humped it. Nancy was the main reason for those results, and our league place teams bang average, but Martin O'Neill elevates them to be a competent team. Anyway, no, not really. The Huns have won 7 in a row. It's a good bit of form that they're on. Can Celtic go on and win? We'll win tomorrow. I'm that confident, but I'd put your wages on it. Nah, I'm not a betting man. I'm not a betting man at all. We should have Hearts and Sevco at home, the other 3 away at the end of the league. Not too sure about that. But anyway, Celtic transfer news is we're looking at loan players. An Eintracht Frankfurt defender. Celtic are still pushing for that one. The Swiss international is looking for a way out so that he can prove his chances in getting to the World Cup. 6'6" defender has loan options in the Premiership. He's not coming to Celtic then, is he? Crystal Palace player that we spoke about before. Celtic have been after him before. But other than that, I think we'll do a video later on today just to get the positivity back for the game tomorrow. Anyway, we turn up, we win 3 or 4-0, says Sean Dixon. We've turned up at games this season and Hearts have just been better than us. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, on that note, have an absolutely fantastic day, Celtic fans, wherever you are, all around the world. The fact is that Martin O'Neill asked for more players. Here's the fact. I'm going to end it on this fact. Martin O'Neill asked for more players for before this game. We get in a striker that Martin O'Neill says he is not the answer to our issues. He's not the Messiah. Anyway, on that note, have a fantastic day, Celtic fans, wherever you are, all around the world.